My job search journey before leaving the sales lab, it was fantastic. It was amazing because I got many responses. So if we compare the before joining the sales lab and after joining the sales lab and being there with my coaches, it was fantastic. The response rate was something crazy. There was like plenty interviews and plenty opportunities were just approaching to me, and I trusted the process, right? So somehow, and because of these procedures and because of the techniques and everything I've learned, I was able to land the job before even leaving the college, which is one of my biggest milestones. I am delighted because of the procedures we did and because of all the ideas they gave us to land more and more jobs, and it worked out fine. I have to say that there were weeks where I had more than 7 interviews just in 1 week. This is nothing I would thought about before joining the sales lab. So my experience with my coach, Coach Michael, was such an amazing person with me. He also wanted me to know or to get a sense from him that he was going to be my toughest customer ever. In fact, he has been. There's nobody like him in a phone call, and all the challenges he made me go through have helped me a lot in my career. Coach Michael is a really reflective person. He likes to not just tell you what you're doing wrong, but then also show you how you can grow in your sales career. He doesn't want you to go one and again through the mistakes you're committing because you're just a new salesman, but he wants you to recognize them and address them correctly so you can be a better salesman tomorrow. He likes you to go and trust the process. He likes you to go through the different challenges and accepting the losses as well. So what he wants you in fact is to be a better salesman, but he was in fact my toughest customer. So the most eye-opening and most valuable parts of the program was when I was acknowledging my mistakes, acknowledging it was a huge part for me because most of the time we tend to repeat our mistakes, but in the sales lab with Coach Michael, he helped me a lot on recognizing what were those things I wasn't doing right or that I could just simply improve, right? So it was the biggest eye-opening. And then also that you don't need to sound like a selling person, that you're trying to sell something for making a deal. In fact, that was the thing I was the most scared about for joining the sales lab, or maybe the industry in general. When I discovered this was not the proper approach, he just taught me how to recognize the problem and create a pitch addressing the problem. This is one of the most eye-opening things I have ever seen in my life, just not in the sales lab, but in my whole life. Alright, so in the last 3 months of my career, which are in fact the first 3 months of my career, there are not that bunch of milestones. The biggest one I can think about is that I started as a PDR role, Client Services Associate, for the city of Brampton, for the territory of Brampton in general. But then after a long way of just trying luck and acquire more different businesses and trying to develop business there, I told my boss once that there were a lot of different positions in Mississauga as well. And so he asked me a question, and I will never forget about this. He asked me, are you able to do Mississauga as well? In fact, I said yes. I was super excited, and now I'm handling business development for Mississauga and Brampton, which is a pretty big territory for just one person, you will think, but the techniques I have learned in the sales lab have made it way easier, and I'm pretty sure are gonna get me faster and easier to results, because in the first steps of my career, I wouldn't even think that I was gonna make it to double my territory almost in 3 months, or less than 3 months actually. So that's pretty much my biggest milestone until now. So the biggest advice I will give to somebody that is starting their sales career is to trust the process. Trust the process, trust in yourself. If you don't trust in yourself and if you don't trust the process, there's no way of making it that far. In fact, what has brought me here is trusting in my coaches, trusting in what they said, acknowledging my mistakes, taking care of the things I didn't used to care before, trying to change techniques, trying to improve myself every single day. So the biggest advice for new salesmen. They're trying and they're inspired for talking to people, for building relationships like myself. If you found yourself in that position, you want to make things right. But don't be afraid of failing in the process. It's normal to fail. So just trust the process and keep it up.